The vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean is home to some of the most remarkable human stories ever told, and perhaps the most intriguing among them is the genetic history of the Pacific Islanders. Scattered across thousands of islands, from Hawaii to Samoa, Fiji to Tahiti, these communities hold a DNA signature that is as unique and diverse as the ocean they inhabit. But what makes their DNA so extraordinary? The answer lies in an incredible tale of migration, isolation, and adaptation that spans tens of thousands of years. To truly understand why Pacific Islander DNA is so unique, we have to look back to their origins. Long before the Polynesians navigated the vast Pacific waters, their ancestors embarked on another journey, one that began in Africa. These early humans traveled eastward through Asia, eventually reaching regions like Southeast Asia and Melanesia. Over time, these ancient populations formed the genetic foundation of the Pacific Islanders we know today. But their story doesn't stop there. Around 3,500 years ago, a remarkable group of seafarers set sail from what is now Taiwan. Known as the Austronesians, these skilled navigators carried their languages, tools, and traditions across Southeast Asia and into the Pacific. As they moved, they encountered and mixed with the indigenous populations of Melanesia, creating a unique blend of genetic material that would define the Pacific Islanders. What makes this history so fascinating is not just the migrations themselves, but the sheer scale of their achievement. Imagine navigating vast oceans with only the stars and the winds to guide you. These voyages weren't just about survival, they were about discovery, courage, and a determination to carve out a life in some of the most remote places on Earth. And in doing so, they created a genetic legacy that continues to intrigue scientists and historians alike. The DNA of Pacific Islanders isn't just a record of their travels. It's a testament to their resilience and adaptability. It tells the story of how humans, against all odds, settled some of the most isolated islands in the world, transforming the Pacific into a living map of human ingenuity. The origins of Pacific Islanders are deeply rooted in one of humanity's most extraordinary migrations. To understand their unique genetic makeup, we must begin with the first wave of human movement out of Africa, over 50,000 years ago. These early humans made their way across Asia, eventually reaching regions like Southeast Asia and Melanesia. For tens of thousands of years, they adapted to their environments, forming the genetic foundation of the people who would later settle the Pacific. But the real turning point came much later, around 3,500 years ago, with the Austronesian expansion. This migration was unlike anything that had come before it. Originating from Taiwan, the Austronesians were highly skilled navigators and agriculturalists. They brought with them advanced knowledge of sailing, domesticated plants and animals, as well as tools that enabled them to thrive in new environments. Their journey wasn't limited to nearby islands. They ventured far and wide, reaching places as distant as the Philippines, Indonesia, and beyond. As they moved southward and eastward, the Austronesians encountered the indigenous populations of Melanesia. This meeting wasn't just a cultural exchange, it was a genetic one as well. Over generations, these two groups intermingled, creating a genetic blend that forms the backbone of modern Pacific Islanders. What makes this fusion so fascinating is how it reflects both adaptation and innovation. The Austronesian influence brought linguistic and cultural continuity across the Pacific, while the Melanesian contribution added depth and diversity to their genetic makeup. This blending wasn't uniform, though. Different islands and regions saw varying levels of interaction between the Austronesians and Melanesians. In some areas, like Polynesia, the Austronesian influence is more dominant, while in places like Papua New Guinea and the Solomon Islands, the Melanesian genetic signature remains stronger. This diversity is part of what makes Pacific Islander DNA so unique. It's a mosaic of ancient migrations, shaped by both movement and isolation. The Austronesian expansion wasn't just remarkable for its scope, it was also an incredible technological achievement. These early seafarers used sophisticated outrigger canoes and navigational techniques that allowed them to cross vast distances with precision. Their ability to find and settle islands scattered across thousands of miles of open ocean speaks to their ingenuity and determination. And their success in doing so is etched into the DNA of their descendants, who carry the genetic markers of this incredible journey. The origins of Pacific Islanders tell a story of survival, exploration, and human innovation on an epic scale. But the uniqueness of their DNA isn't just about where they came from. It's about what happened after they arrived. The uniqueness of Pacific Islander DNA becomes even more evident when we consider the role isolation played in shaping their genetic diversity. After settling on the islands of the Pacific, these communities became some of the most geographically isolated populations in the world. This isolation had profound effects, creating distinct genetic signatures that set them apart from other human groups. When a small group of people settles in a remote location, a phenomenon known as a genetic bottleneck occurs. In essence, the genetic diversity of the original settlers is reduced, and certain traits become more pronounced over time. In the case of Pacific Islanders, this bottleneck effect is particularly striking. Each island group developed its own unique genetic profile, influenced by the limited number of settlers and the lack of intermixing with outside populations for centuries or even millennia. One of the most fascinating aspects of this isolation is how it allowed specific traits to flourish. For instance, certain genes linked to survival in tropical climates, such as those influencing skin pigmentation, became more common. These adaptations help Pacific Islanders thrive in environments with intense sun exposure and limited freshwater resources. Additionally, genes related to salt retention may have been advantageous for people living in areas where fresh water was scarce, aiding in their ability to survive long sea voyages and life on small islands. But isolation didn't just amplify genetic adaptations. It also created challenges. The lack of genetic diversity left some island populations more vulnerable to certain inherited conditions. For example, the prevalence of specific genetic disorders or susceptibilities to diseases can be traced back to the bottleneck effect. Despite these challenges, the overall genetic resilience of Pacific Islanders is remarkable, reflecting thousands of years of adaptation to some of the most challenging environments on Earth. Beyond these practical adaptations, the genetic diversity among Pacific Islanders also offers insights into the human capacity for innovation and survival. Their ability to sustain themselves on remote islands, with limited resources and extreme isolation, is a testament to their ingenuity. It's not just their physical environment that shaped their DNA. It's the enduring spirit of exploration and resourcefulness that allowed them to thrive in such unique conditions. Isolation made Pacific Islander DNA distinct, but it's the incredible story of how they adapted to that isolation that makes their genetic legacy so extraordinary. Yet there's one group among them that stands out even further: the Polynesians. Their dual ancestry and their astonishing migrations reveal even more about what makes Pacific Islander DNA so unique. The Polynesians are perhaps the most remarkable group among Pacific Islanders, known for their daring voyages across the vast Pacific and their unique genetic heritage. Their DNA reveals a story of dual ancestry, a blending of two distinct populations that shaped who they are today: the Austronesians from Asia and the indigenous Melanesians of the Pacific. This fusion created a genetic profile that is both complex and fascinating, offering insights into one of humanity's greatest migration stories. Polynesians originated from the Austronesian expansion, but their journey didn't stop at the islands of Southeast Asia. Roughly 1,000 years after reaching Melanesia, their ancestors began venturing eastward, pushing the boundaries of exploration to settle in some of the most isolated places on Earth, including Hawaii, Easter Island, Rapa Nui, and New Zealand. Their rapid spread across the Pacific remains one of the most impressive feats in human history, and their DNA carries the marks of these incredible voyages. What makes Polynesian DNA so intriguing is how it reflects both their Asian and Melanesian roots. Studies have shown that Polynesians inherited more of their genetic material from their Austronesian ancestors, particularly in paternal lineages traced through the Y chromosome. This suggests that the men in the migrating groups were predominantly Austronesian. However, the maternal mitochondrial DNA reveals a stronger Melanesian influence, indicating that women from Melanesian populations played a significant role in shaping Polynesian ancestry. This dual lineage highlights how cultural and genetic blending occurred during the early stages of Polynesian migration. Polynesian DNA also contains clues about their extraordinary navigation skills and adaptability. Scientists have identified genetic markers that suggest Polynesians were well suited to endure the physical demands of long sea voyages. Their ability to survive extended periods at sea, subsisting on limited resources, reflects a combination of cultural ingenuity and biological resilience. These traits enabled them to traverse thousands of miles of open ocean, reaching distant islands long before the advent of modern navigation tools. But the Polynesians' genetic legacy isn't just about their physical traits. It's also about their incredible capacity for survival. The isolation of their islands meant that they had to rely entirely on the resources available to them. Over generations, their DNA adapted to these conditions, favoring traits that helped them thrive in small, resource-scarce environments. This resilience is still evident today, but it also reveals challenges. Certain genetic traits, once advantageous for survival, have contributed to modern health issues, such as a predisposition to obesity and diabetes, which we'll explore in more detail later. The genetic story of Polynesians showcases the interplay of ancestry, adaptation, and innovation. Their DNA is a living record of one of humanity's most extraordinary journeys, a testament to the spirit of exploration and the ability to thrive against incredible odds. The unique genetic makeup of Pacific Islanders isn't just a fascinating relic of their past. It also plays a significant role in their present-day health and physical traits. For many Pacific Islander communities, certain genetic predispositions reveal how their ancestors adapted to their environment and lifestyle. But these same traits have also contributed to modern health challenges. One of the most well-known genetic traits among Pacific Islanders is their predisposition to obesity and related conditions, such as diabetes and cardiovascular disease. This has been linked to what scientists call the thrifty gene hypothesis. The idea is that Pacific Islanders' ancestors developed genetic adaptations to efficiently store fat and energy, enabling them to survive periods of scarcity during long sea voyages or on resource-limited islands. In environments where food was unpredictable, this ability to conserve energy was a life-saving adaptation. However, in the modern world, where processed foods and sedentary lifestyles are more common, these same genetic traits have become a double-edged sword, contributing to higher rates of obesity and metabolic disorders. Another key area where Pacific Islander DNA stands out is their immune system. Living on isolated islands exposed Pacific Islanders to unique environmental challenges, such as tropical diseases and limited exposure to certain pathogens. Over generations, their immune systems adapted to these specific conditions, resulting in distinct immune system markers that differentiate them from other populations. While these adaptations help protect their ancestors, they've also created vulnerabilities. For example, when exposed to diseases introduced through colonization or global travel, Pacific Islanders' immune systems were sometimes less equipped to handle them, leading to devastating epidemics in the past. Despite these challenges, Pacific Islanders also possess remarkable physical resilience, much of which can be traced back to their genetic heritage. Their ancestors' ability to endure long sea voyages and thrive in challenging environments has left a legacy of physical endurance and strength. These traits are evident in traditional activities like outrigger canoeing, which require immense stamina, as well as in modern sports, where Pacific Islanders often excel, particularly in rugby, American football, and weightlifting. What makes Pacific Islander DNA so unique is how it encapsulates both the triumphs and trials of their history. Their genes tell the story of survival in one of the world's most challenging environments, a history that continues to shape their present-day experiences. But their genetic legacy also raises broader questions about the impact of modern lifestyles on ancient adaptations and how understanding their DNA can lead to better health outcomes for future generations. The genetic legacy of Pacific Islanders offers profound insights into one of humanity's most extraordinary migration stories. Their DNA is a map of ancient movements, showing how humans pushed the limits of exploration and colonization, reaching some of the most remote places on Earth. But beyond their own story, the unique DNA of Pacific Islanders provides valuable clues about the broader history of human migration and adaptation. Pacific Islanders serve as a key to understanding how humans spread across the globe. Their genetic profile connects them to the ancient populations of Southeast Asia and Melanesia, but it also provides evidence of a broader Austronesian migration that began thousands of years ago. By tracing the genetic markers in Pacific Islanders, Scientists can piece together the routes taken by these early voyagers and the timing of their movements. This genetic evidence complements archaeological findings, such as lapida pottery, which marks the spread of Austronesian culture across the Pacific. One of the most intriguing aspects of Pacific Islander DNA is how it reveals the impact of long-term isolation. These island communities develop genetic signatures that are distinct not just from their mainland ancestors, but also from neighboring island groups. This isolation created a kind of living laboratory for studying human genetics, showing how small populations adapt over time to unique environments. The results of these adaptations are visible not only in physical traits, but also in the ways Pacific Islanders' genes reflect their historical experiences of survival and resource scarcity. However, the modern world has introduced new challenges to this genetic legacy. The increasing interconnection of global populations through migration and intermarriage is leading to changes in the genetic makeup of Pacific Islander communities. While this globalization can help mitigate some of the health risks associated with genetic bottlenecks, it also raises concerns about the preservation of the unique genetic traits that have defined these populations for millennia. The study of Pacific Islander DNA also highlights the ethical considerations of genetic research. Small, isolated populations like these can offer valuable data for understanding human history, but researchers must tread carefully to respect the rights and identities of the communities they study. For Pacific Islanders, their DNA isn't just a scientific curiosity. It's an integral part of their identity and heritage, a living link to their ancestors and their place in the human story. The broader implications of Pacific Islander DNA extend far beyond the islands themselves. Their genetic story connects us to the ancient migrations that shaped the world and reminds us of the incredible adaptability and resilience of the human species. By understanding their DNA, we gain a deeper appreciation of the challenges their ancestors overcame and the unique ways they adapted to their environment. The story of Pacific Islander DNA is a testament to human resilience, adaptability, and the enduring spirit of exploration. It is a story written over tens of thousands of years, tracing the incredible journeys of ancient seafarers who braved the vast Pacific Ocean to settle some of the most remote corners of the earth. Their DNA is a living archive of these migrations, revealing not just where they came from but how they adapted to thrive in environments that challenged even the most resourceful humans. From the blending of Austronesian and Melanesian ancestry to the genetic bottlenecks created by isolation, Pacific Islander DNA tells a tale of both diversity and uniqueness. It showcases the ingenuity of their ancestors, who navigated open oceans with precision, cultivated islands with limited resources, and built cultures that remain vibrant to this day. Their genes also remind us of the challenges they faced, from adapting to new climates and scarce resources to surviving waves of diseases brought by outsiders. In the modern world, Pacific Islanders continue to carry the legacy of their ancestors in their DNA. This legacy offers both strength and challenges, from remarkable physical endurance to vulnerabilities in health linked to ancient adaptations. Yet their story is far from static. It is evolving, shaped by globalization, cultural preservation, and advances in genetic research. The uniqueness of Pacific Islander DNA isn't just a scientific curiosity. It's a reminder of the incredible diversity of the human species and the extraordinary journeys that connect us all. In their genes, we see the echoes of humanity's capacity to explore, innovate, and survive against overwhelming odds. Their story is not just about their islands. It's a chapter in the larger narrative of what it means to be human. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of Pacific Islander DNA. If you've been inspired by this journey into the past and its connection to the present, share your thoughts and let others know about this incredible story of survival and adaptation. Together, we can continue to celebrate the diversity that defines us all and the amazing stories hidden within our very genes.